A day of drama in the Shaun Diddy Combmes trial. The New York County Supreme Court was a cauldron of tension, its high ceilings and polished wood benches bearing witness to a day that would etch itself into the annals of legal history. The trial of Shaun Diddy Combmes, music mogul, fashion icon and cultural titan, was no ordinary case. Accused of racketeering, sex trafficking and other grave offenses, Diddy sat at the defense table, his expression a mask of calm amid a storm of allegations. The courtroom buzzed with reporters, legal analysts and onlookers, all drawn to the spectacle of a fallen star facing justice. The juror on the brink. The morning began with a brewing controversy over juror number 6. This juror, who had been under scrutiny earlier in the week, now faced potential dismissal due to inconsistencies in their statements about where they lived. During voir dire, the jury selection process, they had claimed to reside in the Bronx with their fiancée and infant daughter. But in a casual conversation with court staff, they revealed they had been spending significant time in New Jersey, even suggesting the move might be permanent. Judge Ronald Castorena, a stern figure presiding over the trial, was visibly troubled. The juror was asked straightforward questions about their residence, he said, his voice cutting through the courtroom. Their contradictory answers raised serious concerns about their candor and ability to follow instructions. The judge leaned toward dismissing the juror, fearing their inconsistencies could taint the trial's integrity. But Brian Steele, Diddy's lead attorney, rose to object. A seasoned litigator with a commanding presence, Steele argued that the jurors' living arrangements were a minor issue. "Your Honor, many people in this region commute between New York and New Jersey," he said. "It's a common practice and doesn't indicate bias or misconduct." Steele also played the diversity card, noting that dismissing this black juror would reduce the jury's representation of minorities. "We've worked hard to ensure a diverse panel," he added. Removing this juror would undermine that effort. Assistant United States Attorney Emily Kaminsky, leading the prosecution, countered sharply. "This isn't about diversity, it's about preserving the integrity of the jury," she said. The jurors' lack of candor could compromise the fairness of these proceedings. The debate grew heated, with both sides digging in. After much deliberation, Judge Castorena decided to postpone his ruling until after the weekend, leaving juror number 6's fate uncertain and the courtroom abuzz with speculation. Kanye West's unexpected visit. As if the juror drama weren't enough, the courthouse was thrown into a frenzy mid-morning when Kanye West, now legally known as Ye or Ye Day, arrived. Clad in his signature all-black ensemble, complete with oversized sunglasses, Kanye cut a striking figure as he strode through the courthouse doors. A longtime friend of Diddy, his presence was a bold show of support, but it also sparked whispers among the press corps. Was this a genuine gesture of solidarity or a calculated publicity move? Court security, however, was unmoved by Kanye's celebrity status. He was denied entry to the main courtroom and instead directed to the media overflow room, where he joined Diddy's son, Christian Combs, and another close associate. Kanye's stay was brief, about 20 minutes, before he made a quiet exit, leaving without comment. His appearance, though fleeting, underscored the trial's cultural weight, drawing parallels to the media circuses of past celebrity trials. The jury, sequestered from such distractions, remained unaware of Kanye's visit, but the press seized on the moment, adding fuel to the trial's already blazing spotlight. Damning text messages. As the courtroom settled, the prosecution turned to its evidence, presenting text messages that offered a glimpse into Diddy's world. The first message, sent from Diddy to his former chief of staff, Kristina Khorram, on November 21, 2023, was particularly revealing. Under the name Puff Music, Diddy instructed Khorram to ensure that Robin was paying her rent on time and not doing anything dumb. The prosecution argued that Robin was Jane, one of the women accusing Diddy of sex trafficking. They contended that Diddy's payment of Jane's rent was a form of financial control, a tactic to keep her dependent and compliant, a cornerstone of their sex trafficking allegations. Another set of messages from Cassie, Diddy's former partner, to his security guard Drock, painted a darker picture. On January 17, 2017, Cassie texted Drock in distress, "My bathroom door is broken down. He has my keys. I'm leaving because I don't feel safe." She urged Drock to retrieve her keys from Diddy, but he responded, "You know I can't take your keys from him." The prosecution used these messages to illustrate a pattern of control and intimidation, suggesting that Diddy's staff played a role in maintaining his dominance over the women in his life. These exchanges were critical to the racketeering charge, which alleged that Diddy used his inner circle to facilitate criminal activities. A raid reveals all. The testimony of Special Agent Andre LeMan of Homeland Security Investigations brought the courtroom into the heart of Diddy's Los Angeles mansion, raided on March 25, 2024. LeMan, assigned to the human trafficking group, described a sprawling property with 3 buildings, the main house, a sauna, and a gym/studio. The search uncovered a trove of evidence that the prosecution wielded to bolster their case. In the master bedroom, investigators found 6 manila envelopes labeled with a K, containing a powdery residue that tested positive for ketamine. A safe in the closet held Diddy's passport, cash, and a substance resembling paprika but later identified as MDMA or Molly. The closet also contained baby oil, Astroglide, and lingerie, items the prosecution linked to alleged sex trafficking activities. Most striking was the discovery in the security room: an arsenal of firearms including a bolt-action Ruger rifle, a Smith & Wesson AR-15, a Glock pistol, and various magazines, one with a defaced serial number. The prosecution argued that these findings pointed to a criminal enterprise, with firearms used to intimidate and drugs used to control victims. The defense, however, offered a different narrative. They argued that the firearms were kept by professional security personnel, a necessity for someone of Diddy's stature. The baby oil and Astroglide, they contended, were not inherently criminal, and their organized storage, 600 bottles of baby oil and 900 bottles of Astroglide, neatly stacked, suggested personal use rather than illicit activity. On cross-examination, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo pressed LeMan on the chain of custody, questioning whether the firearms were properly documented and whether the safe was open when agents arrived. LeMan's vague responses left room for doubt, which the defense seized upon to challenge the prosecution's narrative. The assistant's tale. The day's most compelling testimony came from Jonathan Perez, Diddy's former assistant from December 2021 until his arrest in September 2024. Perez, who referred to Diddy as Mr. Combs or Mr. C, offered an insider's view of Diddy's operations. Hired after a 1-week trial period facilitated by Kristina Khorram, Perez's duties included research, transportation, and coordination with Diddy's household staff. His salary, starting at $85,000 and rising to 6 figures, reflected the high-pressure nature of his role. Perez's testimony centered on his involvement in organizing king nights, private hotel stays or guest house visits where Diddy would spend time with women, often Jane. Perez described packing essentials for these nights: liquor, music equipment, red lights for recording, condoms, lubricants, and even honey. He also admitted to purchasing drugs for Diddy: Adderall, ketamine, Molly, and cocaine, using cash from security staff. Text messages between Perez and other staffers, like one from July 31, 2022, showed him confirming that Diddy's Gucci pouch containing drugs was secured in his backpack. One particularly damning episode involved a sexually explicit video found on a staff iPad, showing Jane with another man and Diddy in the background. Perez informed Diddy, who was surprised, and later discussed it with Khorram, who recorded their conversation without his knowledge. The audio, played in court, revealed Khorram's concern about the video's presence on a staff device and Perez's insistence that he hadn't shared it further. The prosecution used this to argue that Diddy's staff facilitated and concealed his activities, supporting the racketeering charge. On cross-examination, the defense took a softer approach, likely because Perez expressed admiration for Diddy. "I still respect Mr. Combs," Perez said. "He motivated and inspired me." The defense emphasized that the king nights were consensual, personal matters, not business-related crimes. They also highlighted that Perez's drug purchases and hotel cleanups were part of his job, not evidence of criminal intent. Perez confirmed that Jane appeared willing and happy during these events, undermining the prosecution's coercion narrative. Administrative wrangling. As the day wound down, the court turned to administrative matters, discussing upcoming witnesses and evidence. Kristina Khorram, frequently mentioned but not yet a witness, was central to debates over screenshots and messages she took, which the prosecution argued showed her knowledge of Diddy's activities with Jane. The judge allowed some of these exhibits, over the defense's objections, citing their probative value. Gina, another alleged victim, was also discussed, with the defense arguing that the prosecution had abandoned the theory that she was a sex trafficking victim. The judge sided with the defense, excluding certain messages about Gina as inadmissible. Meanwhile, anticipation built around Brendan Paul, a former assistant arrested on drug charges, who was expected to testify the following week, potentially shedding more light on Diddy's operations. A trial that captivates. As the courtroom emptied, the weight of the day's events lingered. The trial of Shaun Diddy Combmes was a saga of power, privilege, and alleged predation, with each day bringing new twists. From the Juror controversy to Kanye's Cameo, and from incriminating texts to tales of King Knights, the case was a complex tapestry of evidence and emotion. The public watched with rapt attention, knowing that the coming days would bring more revelations in this gripping legal drama.